Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. It is so good to be back. Sorry for us being a little MIA. We've had a lot going on since Christmas and had to take a little break. We, as a family, came down sick, and we were sick for at least, I'm going to say 7 or 9 days. I can't remember exactly, but we were pretty sick. And then once we started feeling better, we got hit with that sea crud that we won't say because YouTube doesn't like it. At least that's what my test said. But yeah, I was down for about 5 days before I actually was able to get up and do little things at a time. Total of 2 weeks before I actually started feeling better. It settled in my back, and it just seemed like I could not get my back to feel better. It took me a long time to recover from that. My husband also got sick, but he was doing very well. Usually, it was about 4 days. He was really sick, and then he started coming up from that, and we just have been so busy, and you know, life gets in the way sometimes. So now we're recovered and we're getting back in the swing of things, and I thought, what a great way to welcome you back. And we're going to make dinner together. Today we're going to make chicken pot pie. Now my recipe that I have is versatile. You can use, you can make beef pot pie, make turkey pot pie. Today that we're going to use chicken. So I'm going to go ahead, and we got our vacuum sealed chicken here. And I'm using chicken breast. You can use whatever chicken you like. We tend to lean towards the breast meat for our pot pie. And we're going to get the chicken out, and the chicken still, I mean, it's not frozen solid, but it's still a little frozen, but it makes it easier to cut into like 1-inch cubes. So that's what we're going to be doing with that. I hope everyone's been doing wonderful. And like I said, we're just glad to be back. That's one thing I do not like is sickness. We don't get sick very often, but good news is I was able to use the elderberry that I canned, and I believe it really helped my husband and I both. And so I'm definitely going to have to make some more of that to have that in stock. I still have some left, but I think I'm going to have to make some more. But other than that, what's everyone else been up to? I know that the weather's been kind of wacky out there. We had that ice storm here, and it seemed like the ice didn't go away for like 2 weeks. Where we live, they didn't even really put any salt down. Towards the end of it they did. And then we got another small, minor ice storm. Nothing that actually caused any trouble or anything. So yeah, that's just, you know, what we've been up to. And I thought, well, today would be a good day to make some chicken pot pie. Now, I'm going to cheat a little. Normally with chicken pot pie, I like to have the homemade crust. But we think we're going to take a little bit of an easier route today, and I just went ahead and bought pre-made pie crust. But with this recipe, you can use homemade pie crust as well. There's all kinds of recipes out there that you can use, or if you have one that your grandmother or mother passed down to you, you can use that one. But So that's it for now. We're just going to keep on cutting this chicken into about 1-inch cubes. And then we'll get our frying pan good and hot with, you can use vegetable oil, just enough to keep the chicken from sticking. I think I'm going to use a little bit of olive oil today. Has anyone paid attention to the prices of the food going on? Tell you what, and how they expect people to survive on these prices that's going up. It's not too bad now, but it could get pretty bad. We've been staying in tune with the truckers convoy going on in Canada, and now there's one that's going to happen in the U.S. I guess March 1st. They're supposed to be in Washington, D.C. to do a peaceful protest. Hopefully everything will be okay with that. But I have a family member that is a trucker, and he's already given me the heed of warning that to make sure that we stock our pantries and have plenty of water and things for at least a month, which is not a problem for us. So I don't know. He said that he's heard that there could be some interruption, which we've all seen that there already a supply interruption in some of the stores. I went to Kroger's today, and I don't know if it was just a stock up day and the shelves looked pretty empty. I mean, they not like it did when all this began back in 2020, but there's some things that you just can't seem to find, or they're not stocking it. And I don't know if that's a shortage or what, but I know that, like, have you guys ever, I'm sure you have, the dried beef in those little budded packages or whatever? Every time I go to the store to get some of that, my husband likes SOS, and I like to use it in certain appetizers and cheese balls and things, but it seems like I can't never find the beef. And they have the corned beef and all the chicken and turkey and ham. Can't get the beef, and I don't know what's going on with that either. But just make sure that you guys, you know, even though the shortage, if there is a shortage with the truckers convoy, might not last too long, but you just never know. It's always good to have that extra, I would say, stock supply, whatever you want to call it. Get this fat off of this chicken. But, just, you know, like you can't, it's not really wasting, because you can always use the stuff that you stock up on. We always try to make sure we're stocked up anyway. I'm sure we could do better. Just be vigilant of that and watch what's going on. And you know, I was watching one of my YouTube shows, homesteading shows that I always watch. Her name's Patera, and she set a goal for her viewers to buy like 5 extra canned goods a week and keep it, and not use it with your meals that week. Just keep it, you know, in like a small, on a shelf somewhere, you know, back out of sight, out of mind. But just do that each week, and it'll only cost you a little bit of money, and it won't hit the pocket so hard, or at least you won't notice it. But she was saying, like, if you do 5 items a week, that it's like 260 items in a year you have on your shelf. And just, you know, look at the expiration dates, make sure that you are aware of that. And most of the canned items, like she was showing, was like Spam. I know a lot of people are like, no to Spam. I agree, I'm not big on Spam either, but it's a meat you can have. And if you don't, absolutely said no way to Spam. There's the white meat chicken in a can, there's tuna, there's salmon, there's all kinds of things that you can stock up on. But I encourage you to go watch her. Her name's Patara, P-A-T-A-R-A, yes, Patara, an Appalachian homestead. I watch her quite frequently, and yeah, if you want to know more about that, you can always go and watch her videos there. So now that we got this chicken cut up into about 1-inch pieces, I'm going to go ahead and add olive oil to our pan and get that nice and cooked. Alright, so I got my hands washed, and we're going to add about a tablespoon of olive oil in here. Like I said, you could use vegetable oil if you like, or whatever oils you use. And we're going to let this at a medium heat come up to heat, and then we'll add some seasoning. Once it's store today, I always look for deals on things at the store when I can find it. And I found this here, and it was on sale for 50 cents. Now, yes, I can make my own herbs, and I have plenty, but for 50 cents, or 51 cents, I should say, it was a markdown. I was like, well, there's some seasoning that we can use, and just add our salt to it as needed. And you don't even have to add salt to it if you prefer not to, but we're going to season chicken with this today, and then add our little pink Himalayan salt. Oil now is good and hot. And we're going to transfer the chicken in here. Now the recipe calls for 2.5 to 3 cups of chicken. And I just did, there was like a small chicken breast. That was a piece that I missed. There was a large chicken breast, and probably a medium chicken breast, and 2 medium chicken breasts, and a smaller chicken breast. So it doesn't have to be perfect. We're going to go ahead and add the salt. Like I said, I'm using pink Himalayan salt. You can use any salt that you prefer. And we're just going to season this chicken up. Don't want to do too much. We don't want to taint the flavor of our pot pie, but just enough to give that seasoned taste to our chicken. And we're not going to brown this or anything. We're just going to cook it through. And when it's done, we'll put it in a bowl and set aside so we can begin the next steps. Alright, so our chicken is cooked, so it's no longer pink inside, and I'm going to go ahead and start scooping this out and put it in the bowl to set aside. And then we're going to continue on with the recipe. I hope that you enjoy making this recipe. You'll have to let me know in the comments if you decided to try it. Like I said, you can do beef and change your stock to beef or beef broth. You could also do turkey and get turkey broth, and if you don't have turkey broth, you can use the chicken broth for the turkey too. So since we're doing chicken pot pie, we'll be using a chicken broth. And I think that's ready to go, so we're going to get this and put it in the bowl to set aside. Alright, so the chicken is put in a bowl on the side, as we were saying, and I have now put 1/3 cup of butter in this pan on medium high. We're going to melt that down, and go ahead and preheat your oven at 425 at this point. And then while we were waiting, I went ahead and cut up 1/3 cup of onions. You can do it at the thickness that you like. We just did little pieces. We don't like big bulky onions in ours, so that's what we're doing. And I've already got the pie crust out, getting it room temperature. And my surface is floured so that I can roll these out to the desired size that I need it to be. So I'm going to go ahead and lay this out and get it ready. Your first pie crust is going to be like a 13-inch square, because you're going to use a square pan. This is a 2.5 quart pan. Glass is best, but you use what you got to use. So you do not need to butter that or anything. Just sit it there and wait. And as this butter is starting to melt, went ahead and got the flour out, the milk. Trying to think, was there anything else? Salt, pepper. I got the broth out and ready to go. Milk, I said that already. I got frozen peas and carrots. Now, some people like potatoes in their pot pies. I do, but my husband doesn't care for it, so we're going to omit that. But you can also get the small frozen diced potatoes as well. You know me, I like to use things out of the garden. I have dehydrated peas and carrots that I could use and rehydrate. But these are on sale. We're in the freezer. Let's get it out of the freezer, make more freezer space. So we're just going to be using the peas and carrots in ours today. Like I said, this recipe is very versatile. You can put in it what you like. So that's what makes it nice. Butter's almost melted. So we're going to go ahead and get the onions over here. Salt and pepper. And our flour. That's it. Alright, so butter's good and melted. We're going to go ahead and put the onions in. Let those saute just a little bit. Get separated here. let it come up to a boil. I'm going to go ahead and add the pepper. You're going to need a 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper. And a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. I didn't measure it out. I'm trying to just eyeball it. But you can measure it out. That mixed up in here. Alright, so now you're going to need a 1/3 cup of all-purpose flour. I'm going to go ahead and measure it. It's kind of hard to see here in the light. Alright, that looks good. Looks like it's softening up a little bit, the onions. I don't want them too soft, but just a little bit. We're going to go ahead and add our 1/3 cup flour and stir constantly. Get it nice and incorporated. Flour is a raw ingredient, so you want to make sure that you cook it. All of that goodness incorporated together. I'm going to continue stirring this and let it get good and cooked through. This is ready to go. And then at this point, you're going to go ahead and add the 1 3/4 cup broth. Then you're going to need 2/3 cup of milk. You're going to stir and let all that get incorporated. Don't worry about the chunkiness. It will dissolve and thicken up as you need. You're going to heat this to a boiling, stirring constantly until you get all of that good and incorporated together. Once it comes to a boil, you're going to let it boil for at least a minute. It's starting to heat through nicely. Not seeing the flour chunks that we saw earlier. And we're just going to let this come up to a boil. And once it does, we'll take it off of the heat. And you're just going to consistently stir. Make sure that you get all of that flour incorporated in the liquid. And while we're waiting on that, I'll show you over here what I've done. I have rolled out the flour and I have my cookingware ready to go. So at this point, you can use a knife, you can use pizza cutter, but I usually go about 1 inch and cut off that section to make it square, or close to square as possible. And then that just kind of gives me the measurements that I need for my pie. And don't throw your dough away, because you can use this for something in a little while. I guess it's not exactly a square, but it'll be just fine. Get that extra caked flour off of it. There we go. And we will come back over here. It is still not boiling yet, but it's close. Turning it into a nice smooth gravy, with the exception of the onions in it. Now this is not going to be the most beautiful pie, I can tell you that now. I'm not looking for beauty, I'm looking for a good taste. Clean up my mess here as we go. It is starting to boil now. Not a rolling boil quite yet. See how it goes. Alright, so we can start our time because it is boiling for 1 minute. I know it smells really, really good. Give you a closer look here. Oh yeah, looking wonderful. So like I said, once this gets done and the timer goes off, in 1 minute, we'll go ahead and remove it from the heat, and we'll continue on. Alright, so the gravy is ready, and we're going to go ahead and add in 10 ounces of frozen peas and carrots, or whatever vegetables you are using for your pot pie. And we're going to add the chicken back in as well. Get that good and incorporated together. We're just going to cook this long enough to get it incorporated. Don't worry about your peas and carrots still being a little frozen. They're going to cook in the oven as well. We're going to let that warm up. And while that's warming up, we're going to go ahead and put our dough in our cookware. Just kind of fold it up like this. Well, that didn't work. Try it again. Like that. Put the pan down, and then just gently roll it back out. And be very careful, try not to break this, the pie shelling. And make it go all the way around the shape into the pan. Like I said, it's not going to be beautiful, especially if it's your first time, but it will surely taste wonderful. Alright, so we have this in here. It is time to take our chicken mixture and put in the pie crust. So I'm going to grab a spoon to make it a little easier on myself. Put that in there and get it nice and even. Tell you what, it smells so good in here. This is great for a good Sunday meal. Sure that that's all the way in the corner. There we go. Get that taken care of. Now we're going to take our pie crust and lay on top. Let me get this taken care of here. Somehow I got that chicken filling on it, and we do not want that. So I'm going to dry this off real quick. Add a little bit of flour. I'm going to roll this on here like we did before. Move it over. That way you guys can see a little better. I'm going to roll this on top. Okay, and take my scissors here, just kind of cut around, but I'm still going to leave enough to seal it. I'm sure that there are people out there who can make a lot prettier pie, and that's perfectly fine. My main goal is that it tastes good. So that's what we're working on. Alright, so we have that. And then on top here, you're just going to have a piece of chicken sitting there. You're just going to kind of pinch. Or you could do what I guess I should do it this way. Fold it under. My nails tend to break the crust sometimes, so I gotta be careful with that. I'm just going to pinch it a little bit. Turn it around. You don't have to do this. I just do it because it does make it a little bit prettier. I'm going to take the dough that we had earlier. Put it back together. See if it will. I hope it didn't get too dry. And roll it out. Get it about as thin as your pie crust is already for your pot pie. And I'm going to take a sharp knife. We'll see how this works. I was going to use my cookie cutters, but I really didn't want to go and get all that out. See if this works here. Yeah, it looks like it might be okay. And cut out a little design if you'd like I'm doing. And that's the oddly shaped part, but my family won't care. It all tastes good. That's all that matters. It's better to use the cookie cutters for sure. But you do what you have time for. We're just going to lay these in the corners. For now, I'm going to put a little bit of water underneath them. Just to decorate it a little bit. And then I also want to do a couple little slits. Hole there. And then we'll get some water. Just enough to put the hearts on the bottom of the heart and stick them on there. And we'll see how that turns out. So now we are ready to put it in the oven. It's been preheated at 425, and we are going to cook it for 35 minutes or until golden brown. What I decide to do is to put a little egg wash on here, get it a nice color, and I'll just watch it and make sure it doesn't get too brown. If it does start getting more brown than I would prefer, then I'll just cover it with a piece of foil while it finishes baking. But yeah, I just scrambled an egg up, and, well, not scrambled, Or, I guess you would say scrambled. I scrambled it up. I'm just going to put it all around. I always like how this egg wash makes your breads and things so pretty. So that's what we're going to try for here. Trying to be really gentle so we don't mess up that beautiful pie crust. I think that should be good. Wish me luck. Hopefully it turns out pretty. And if not, I'm sure it will taste good. That's what matters most, right? Alright, let's get this in the oven. And there you have it, the finished product. Turned out golden, and I think looks beautiful. So bubbling away. So, I said it cooks for 35 minutes. So, when it hit, where it still had 15 minutes left, I went ahead and took a piece of foil and put over it so that the edges didn't get too brown. And it worked out perfectly. So now, time for my family to just have a good Sunday dinner. We're going to have that, and then I also made caramel snickerdoodle cake, bundt cake. And I haven't put the caramel on yet, but that's what it looks like. And when we get ready to serve it, we'll just put our caramel on it. If you are interested in this recipe, let me know. Maybe I can make a video on it another day. But other than that, that's our Sunday. And we really appreciate you guys spending time with me today. Thank you for understanding why we've been gone. I'm hoping to start getting more videos out and do more things. The weather hopefully will start getting better for us. I know that we're starting to see a longer daylight time, which makes my heart happy. So thank you again for joining us, and don't forget, share, share, share. God bless you, everyone.